What's up everyone, Speedy here. In this 1v1 video, we're going to be doing 2 live games and 1 replay review. Let's get right into it. Here we are in game number 1. Okay, 78th conquest already. That is interesting. Good start, definitely a good kickoff. I felt like I timed that pretty well. And then just also being ready for the recovery afterwards. Can't commit. Can take time. Relieve the pressure. And good goal. So in a position like that, when you're defensively like having to protect against potential play, one of the easiest ways to get like faked out is full chowing, because it's really like easy to read, and typically a good opponent is going to expect that. Important that you save your boost here. Try to get a bump. Grab this pad. Don't have to worry about getting boosts. I got plenty here. Here, I am going to grab this corner boost. Play the 50 here. That's going to bounce a bit awkward, so just be patient. Soft touch to the side. Get a bump. Hopefully that's the corner. There, don't flip. Super common mistake is to try to flip to make up that ground. What you can do instead is let it dip there. Just a single jump is super simple. Oops. He did a good job faking, or I'm reading the fake there. That was a good job there. I went for the fake and he actually popped it middle. I don't need to worry about that corner boost. I timed that perfectly. Be in a good spot. Take time. That's a poor chow. It's a good touch here. Try to force a mistake. It works. It works. It was not honestly super well played. First touch was fine, but I could have done a better job. Oh, I misplayed that. Honestly, I thought I could try to get under him. I didn't realize he had more boost than he did. That was a dumb mistake there. Oh, he had full boost. I didn't realize that. I just can't get back there. That's unfortunate. Can't go for a fake there because I can tell he's going to likely read that. Yeah, he's like putting it to the side a little bit. I'll play the bounce. Could have played that better. Could have definitely played that better. Honestly, it was a good takeoff for the air dribble, but what I need to do is, and I know I'm trying more than I probably should be on that play. Could probably get a better kind of touch to play with. Nice, good control. Really there, it's like after I got my third touch, the ball kind of popped a bit more out of control than I wanted. I just couldn't correct that. First couple touches were okay. Nice. I got there just before him. He was a bit awkward on the turn. I'm surprised he turned the way he did. Because he actually had a moment where he could have chowed that. That was actually kind of a poor touch because it was too boomy of a touch. Could tell he was going to go there. Nice. Really, what you want to do is try to just be aware of like how committed like they're going to play. If they're going to like go really early on a lot of those challenges, just single jump and also prepare GG for some of those 50-50s. You'll do well. Here we are in game number 2. Good kickoff win. Nice. There, it's just being patient for the bounce more than anything else. Just kind of reading for the bounce. Opponent tried to get the corner boost there. Full committed for that. Flip it left. Nice. Most important thing when you're in that position is you don't have to necessarily flip it away on the first touch. Get a control touch. That way you can line up a power shot and then go from there. That was interesting. I just played for 50 on the side, and he full flipped the other way. It's bad kickoff. Okay, you can't troll there, dude. I'm going to play it fast. I'm going to early chow that. Don't get possession. Holy bump. Nice. Opponent overcommits there. I'm covering for his read attempt there, so that's why I'm set up there. I do get contact, but I'm also trying to pay attention to if I can't get there, then just being ready. Now that is the idea there, is just a slight delay. Oh, that's a good flick. Yeah, that's a good flick. I was out of position there. I probably, here at that point, I could have honestly been a little bit more ready to chow that. That was very favorable. Nice. He does a good job trying to defend there. It's a pretty awkward spot. It's hard to do that. He was originally thinking I was going to shoot there. That's why I didn't go. Bad side flip. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Okay, I thought he owned gold. Nice, good control there. Grab this pad. Let's go, dude. Nice. That was such a clean ground air dribble. Brazil! Brazil! Bad side flip. Nice. It's a really good lead. Game's not over, though. Your opponent's still going to be trying. There's still a threat. Protect against the bump. It's a good chow. Have to be ready to defend. Almost got the fake. If I was a bit more to the side there, that fake would have worked. Fake chow here. Nice. Important that you just kind of covered for the threat. One of the big mistakes people often make is that they don't respect the potential threat and they just kind of go. Be really careful about that. Grab this pad lane. Respect that they have a shot. That is a good 50. Pretty bad takeoff, but I'm reading for his touch there. Good job of just covering for a lot of the bases. Good game. A bit one-sided, but GG. Okay, here we are in the replay portion of the video. Bit of a scrappy kick off the start. Ideally, you get a cleaner position. I ended up inadvertently kind of delaying this, and it worked out, but try not to make a habit of like bad technique. It'll kind of get you scored on more often than not. Good patience here, recognizing we're both low boost. Opponent tries to go for a play that's dangerous. A common mistake is to position a little bit incorrectly, so pay attention to the way this bounces. A common mistake is once this goes this way is to try to cut across to the left and kind of put yourself in an awkward spot trying to play for a 50. Don't have to worry about the 50 here. It's completely safe. Just kind of be up the wall ready to take control like I did there and then play into that. Usually doing nothing in those cases is usually the best option. It's a good bump there. That's actually a really interesting one because of the way I'm going for the power slide cuts. I'm just able to get supersonic and keep supersonic there. So that was a good bump into a power slide cut play. This coming goal, though, I definitely trolled. I can tell. I immediately remember that I very much trolled this. This is a great kickoff. Really good fake, especially like getting a free corner. Now you have possession and you have ball and you have a clean play. I went for kind of a dumb play. I went for a backflip flick to try to like pinch it, and just didn't work. Then just chowed very badly. Don't do what I did there. That was just very stupid. Just don't do that. Definitely don't do that. This game, I definitely felt like my kickoffs were overall really good. One of the things you want to watch for is watch how I'm positioning myself. I'm seeing my opponent start to put themselves on the side a little bit here. So I'm going to put it on low speed here. And watch how, like, you see how centered I am? And see how much to the side they are. So if you look at the center line here, this is the center line. Look how off to the side he is. He's over here. One of the things you want to be careful about is generally you want to be to the middle here. And if you see your opponent's kind of leaning to one side, like trying to push or pull, you can use a specific flick direction. So here, I flipped right. So I do a side flip to the right, as you can see here. And I end up winning it in that direction. So that's a little detail, but it's a good way to win the kickoff. The way you do that is by reading the opponent's name tag. Usually, one thing I recommend is in terms of name tag size. Let's see here. Is I have it on like 200, so I can really see it as well as possible. That gives me the best chance. I have this on default. I'm sure simplified might be shortening for that. I haven't really like tested that, but generally I usually recommend just default setting for that and then 200 size. This was kind of a sketchy play. I made this more awkward than I needed to. I get an okay 50, but you don't have to be in this position really here. If you want to commit to go for a ground out, like a ground to wall into like an airplay, you want to be a little bit more to the left of the ball. Here, I was too far to the right because of the kind of position I went up. I kind of went this way instead of being up a bit more that way and getting under it. You want to be kind of semi to the like middle left when you pop it out, because that's going to bring it out into open space this direction, and you can play for an air dribble like that. I didn't get a good touch here, and that's what made that awkward. I do an okay job recovering for the 50, but ideally don't do what I did there. It was very high committal. Here, fake chow there. Be careful about the read here. Opponent didn't go there, so I knew they weren't. This should have gotten me scored on there. This is a really poor challenge. Here, just don't have to do anything right away. It's also where I'm positioning. I am positioning and facing the wrong direction in the play. And so I'm going to put it down to 25% speed. And pay attention to the way I'm angling my car. My momentum, I shouldn't have to move too much here. I understand the idea of closing the space, but the problem is when you close the space like this, somebody can easily just go for a power slide cut, pop it right, and I'll be too far to the side there to recover. So that is something they can do. Another thing here is when you're kind of trying to get ready to close the space, he didn't really get a great contact there. He put it way more to the side than I think he was intending to. I think he was actually trying to go above. It kind of like popped a little bit more to the side. This is definitely bad. This is a very, very bad overcommit there. This should have gotten me scored on there. Luckily didn't. Unfortunate to have not gotten scored on there. I definitely did get scored on a couple times, so I'm just kind of small mistakes. Decent 50 here. This is a smart play, but it is also a dangerous play because of the way the ball pops out. I do a good job getting to it fast enough, but it's really easy for an opponent, if they close the space earlier, to be in a spot that's more dangerous. I didn't really get the flick I wanted. Now this is a good play by the opponent. Opponent does a good job being patient there. And I think he accidentally misflipped there. This is a really clean play. This is actually a really clean play. Just a slight pre-flip into the ground there, into the wall rather. And then here, because I knew he was going to bounce and he was going to chow, as soon as he recognized he got beat, he stopped his momentum, and that put him behind the play by a half step. So that's why I was able to score there. There, just getting a small wave dash. This is also a good play. Unfortunately, do miss here. It's a bit of a tricky angle, in fairness. This is also key to have patience, recognizing when I can get a beat on the 50 and then get a good goal here to kind of start really building a gap. Let's see. How did I do this kickoff? Ah, that's right. One of the things I did here is, I remember this actually, is I did a pretty good job of going for a delay. Typically, when you're delaying, I delayed it pretty late. I've seen like Reddles, for example, he will delay it at this. You'll slow down and like almost come to a stop at this, and it's like essentially what's called an S chow. And you'll stop at this last pad, like just at it. I'd stop like very late. Also, little detail, pay attention, and I talked about this in the live game, and I did this very same kind of technique in the live game earlier. This timing for not hitting a flip right away, but getting a soft touch to then get a control touch into a power shot rather. You see how much more power you get once you get a control touch. You can really set properly and you just smack that ball as hard as you can. You see how much more productive that hit is. That's an example of a good contact. You want to try to practice that. Get a control touch into a power shot. You'll start to score more goals this way. I see the opponent does a fake. I've been getting a little bit better at reading these fakes, and also like learning how to just simply adjust my position better. This is a decent 50. Good patience here. Just waiting. The ball's not super dangerous here. We kind of bump each other a little bit. This becomes pretty awkward here. It's a bit dangerous for me to turn the way I did here. If I stayed grounded there on the landing, I would actually have been fine. So like there, if I just stayed on the ground, I actually would have been totally fine because I jumped. It was pretty much a panic touch. Like there was a panic jump there. And so you want to avoid that. And then this was just a misplay here. Ideally, in this particular position, what you want to do is not be so high up on the play. You want to be a little bit more to like a little bit lower. And you want to be like around here. Being on the wall is okay. I think the wall is actually a good spot. It's just where I am on the wall in relation to the play. I'm too high. And so if I'm around here, I can cover and I can play off of this. You just want to be typically, if you're on the wall and like around this midpoint here, like where crossbar is, be careful about being too low because you might hit the lip and you might fall. So just be kind of cognizant of that. And also remember, when you're on the wall, your flip direction is going to feel different. So just remember that. I was a bit too high here. If I was a bit lower, actually it would have been okay. And then just get scored on because of that mistake. I was a bit frustrated there, I could definitely tell. That's a good delay. This is really bad. I understand why I went for the wall to air dribble, but if you want to go for it, what you want to do is do a better job of getting set to the play here. So when you're coming up here, don't be this far to the side. A better way of setting the position is here. Like getting the boost here, slowing down just a little bit more. So hitting that brake pedal just a little bit earlier so I can set it up a bit more and then pop it up. But because I tried to keep my momentum with it, what happened is then I came around the side. And so say the ball's here. Instead of like going under it like this and then popping it out, what was happening is I was coming up around, and that's what hits it here, and that's what pops it more to the side and outward. That makes it a lot more awkward and makes it hard to make a recovery play, or at least like make an actual like attempt at a wall to air dribble. So that's a mistake there. It's not something I see happening to me a lot when I'm doing my practice for that mechanic. So that's why like it's important that I understand that it's okay to go for that. but learn from the mistake that caused that. This was a bit of a goofy play. I understand why I went for it, going for this play here. I didn't really have to even flip here, just honestly getting like staying on the ground and just getting a control touch into, once again, just like I talked about earlier, getting a control touch into the second touch, which is then a power shot. If you do that, that's where you get more success out of that, because what happens is you can get the ball set into a position that's favorable, and then you can really hit that ball as hard as you can, because you're going to be accurate at that point, because you already have set your position and set the tone for the play, if you will. And that's really the goal there. What happens if you rush the play? It worked out, but what happens if you rush the play is it can make awkward touches, became a backboard play, and I had to kind of read it a little bit differently. Something you just want to be generally pretty careful about. That's a pretty tough angle. In fairness, that is a pretty tough angle. Here, really on landing, what you want to do is come off ball cam. This is a really small detail. This is really nitpicky, but you want to come off ball cam and watch for this little circle right here. You see how this little circle is right here? If I just watch for the circle and just simply timed, and I knew I was like, look how far ahead I am of the opponent. I have all the space in the world to get a control touch or even just an accurate touch and then finish the play. And so if I just come off ball cam and just let it bounce like this, and as it's bouncing, just pop like this, and boom, it's just gonna flat go into the goal. Super easy play, and that actually would have been another goal right then and there, no questions asked. It's a small nitpicky detail, but it is an important detail because this is how you improve. I don't mind that. The idea was to try to pop it off the corner so I can get a bounce. I do mind this. This is what got me scored on there. This is a poor chow, and it gave possession away. The way I could have done this is right here. Could have like backflip chowed this a little bit more because of that. Like if I backflip chowed, it would have popped it more like that, and the ball would have been a bit more like off the wall, and I would have been able to like have a little bit more momentum. Try to save your boost. I used a good bit more boost here than I needed to, and just became awkward. He does a good job doing a front flip flick, and he gets good power, and at that point I'm out of position. So it's about awareness of when the mistake is, and it's not the mistake here, it's the mistake here. Is at this point not chowing correctly. Even the earlier touch, an alternative, if you want to be even more nitpicky, I would say like ideally, because that boost isn't there at this point, you could pop it into the corner, recognize you don't have a good play at that point, grab boost, and then play for a 50 or play for a challenge that's more favorable to your liking, that's higher percentage. Because I made the play that I did, it made that more awkward. And again, this mistake here is really the main mistake that led to that play. And right here, just being out of position and then getting scored on. This, I remember when I hit this was really gross. This is a really, really nice like backflip flick, but it was the type of backflip flip that was like semi out of position. And so this was like one of those rare, I do backflip flicks a lot. If you're a new member to the channel or a new like viewer, one of the things I will say is that I am very often in situations where I do backflip challenges. And so what I do in these positions is I will backflip chow. And it's usually because I want to pop the ball up so I can get the ball to scoop up, and the opponent challenges, they fly across, and I have an easy ball for me to score with. This happened to be one where I just got this like insane flick that just went like that. I don't think I should practice that specific version of it. Really, the reason it happened is because like if I do like some slow-mo of it, is like right here. I'm a bit further back. And so like in relation to where I am, you can see like I get under it, and so where the front wheel hits, It's at the very back end of like where like that circle is, just at the back end. So it crosses it a little bit, and that's where the flick is. So like that is a really good shot, in fairness. It's a good shot. But it's not something I directly practice. It was just more of like a pretty cool shot that happened in the moment. I could definitely improve that straight line kickoff. The reason it worked in the opponent's favor is because of my flip direction. This is kind of awkward, kind of like that. And what happens is, like, if you pay attention from the opponent's perspective, watch how they did the 50. So they did kind of something similar. It was like almost a speed flip, but I've not seen people do it that way often. And he just simply gets a better 50 because he's a bit more straight on. I do a good job of getting to the play early. Doing also a really good job, very clean recoveries here. And just playing for the 50-50s. Wait for corner boost. Here, this is good pressure here. Again, maintain pressure. Be careful not to overcommit. Let the opponent use their boost. Grab the mid boost here. And then fake. Opponent's going to have a play to work with. Opponent does a good job here. What you want to do is get a control touch if you have space from the opponent. Be careful about doing that if you're not paying attention to the opponent. Try to be aware of your spacing with the opponent. If the opponent's close, don't try to get a control touch because that can be really dangerous. The reason it can be really dangerous in those cases is this is an unfortunate miss. And then posted too. The reason it can be really dangerous here is if you pay attention to this angle. Look how close the opponent is. And look how, like, when I slowed down and got that touch, if they kept their momentum and didn't go for this boost here, they'd have been a bit closer. And if I slowed down anymore, I put myself in range of potentially getting bumped. So be really careful about that. Be cognizant of where your opponent is in space, because if your opponent is closer to the play, it's an unfortunate. I remember seeing sparks in that play, which was unfortunate. Would have had more space to work with and more time as well, but all good. I was in a good position to win the game, but overall, this is a good game. I'm very happy with the kickoffs this game. This was like a good game from a kickoff standpoint, and that ends up being GG. So, key takeaways from this particular game: kickoffs are really good. Be aware, be very, very aware of when you decide to challenge and what type of challenge. There are many different kinds of challenges. There's fake challenges. There's drive challenges where you stay on the ground and, like, here's the ball, here's the opponent on the other side, you just simply drive into it. That's why it's called drive challenge. There are flip challenges of many different kinds. For example, there's front flip challenges, diagonal flip, side flip, rearward diagonal flip, or back flip challenges. That challenge mistake I made a bit earlier, that would have been really a good time to do like a backward diagonal challenge. We kind of pop it out like that. There I kind of got like an awkward kind of side challenge there, a side flip challenge that just didn't work. But also be aware of where you're positioning yourself and trying to force the opponent. Remember, the direction you're facing and the direction you're moving is where the opponent is going to think about positioning either away from or around. And so when you're in these positions, just recognize that and try to recognize that earlier. Be aware of where you're forcing or zoning your opponent. The earlier you can do that, the better your odds are to win. So if you enjoyed watching this video, I'd like to ask you to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Speed D Man out.